ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, the Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Also, while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you tap that notification bell too, that way you don't miss out on any videos. And of course, if you like the video, make sure you hit that like button. Really helps the channel out. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna be talking about Absolute Power number 4, written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora, colors by Alejandro Sanchez, and letters by Ariana Mayer. So this one is the finale. This is the end of Absolute Power. There will be no more Absolute Power because, well, for one, DC has moved on from this event, and all this is spun out into the DC All-In Special, which everything's gonna be moving on from that, and then going into the Absolute universe and all of like the Absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman stuff, that we've seen up to this point being advertised, just to kind of get us caught up to speed. If you have not been keeping up with Absolute Power, I'll also try and put some timestamps in here, so if this information isn't useful to you, you can get right to the meat. But don't blame me if I forget. That said, Hal Jordan, we know, has gotten his Green Lantern ring back. He got this back during his own Green Lantern issues, which I believe was like 13, 14, and 15. Unfortunately, it wasn't fully charged, so he only gets the power back by the end of issue 15, and thankfully for him, Task Force 7 member Jadestone had fully bought into the Alan Scott school of superheroing and saved Hal from becoming a greasy spot on the ground after the Batwolf, the big giant plane he's been flying around in, the ship he's been flying around in these last few issues. It was basically scuttled by Major Force. You know that guy, the guy responsible for one of the most infamous moments in DC Comics history? Yeah, that one. Anyway, more on Jadestone later. And we've also got Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman and Robin saved all the heroes that were locked away in Belle Reve during the Wonder Woman issues 11, 12, and 13. But unfortunately for her, her boo thang Steve Trevor, he's left behind at Belle Reve to help keep the place locked down, and the villains that are still trapped there are kept in check. We also know that Batman and Blue Beetle Ted Kord are effectively strong-arming John Starr, aka the Time Commander, into reversing the effects of his hourglass on the Amazos. This works because the tech that Starr uses is the same tech that was placed in the Amazos and Failsafe, something we talked about in my Absolute Power number 3 video. And if you've not checked that out for whatever reason, it is up here. But also, they now have a device that will allow them to reverse the Amazos backwards in time to before they took the powers of all the heroes and villains in the DC universe. And we'll talk a little bit more on that towards the end of the video as well. But this issue, Green Arrow comes clean about his whole role to play in Amanda Waller's coup against the superheroes of the DCU. I guess the real question is, were the Justice League in on the plan? No. No one from the Justice League was in on the plan, save for Martian Manhunter. As a matter of fact, Martian Manhunter is the entire reason why this even worked in the first place. It is because he placed a psychic timer in Oliver Queen's brain, in Green Arrow's brain, that would basically make him believe everything Amanda Waller said. But he wasn't as bought in as everyone probably thought he was. But yes, he was bought in because of that little psychic brain whammy that was put on him, and once it wore off, that's why we started seeing him working against Amanda Waller. And these are some things that are loosely addressed in Green Arrow number 14, 15, and 16. But once we get away from that, the main idea here is that, yeah, the Justice League are mad. They're upset because Green Arrow went rogue. And I think it's actually kind of rich that characters like Batman are criticizing him for going rogue, considering, he was responsible for Dark Knight's Metal, and Batman still keeps secrets. He still keeps secrets even after Dark Knight's Metal. He pretty much almost damned the entire DC universe to the mercy of the Batman Who Laughs. And yet he still keeps secrets. So yeah, Batman having a problem with this is kind of rich. Yeah, Oliver Queen's not wrong in his assessment of the situation. The Justice League, they never should have went away. And I also think it's kind of funny too that is being said, considering that, the Titans were supposed to step in and be the new Justice League. They're supposed to be the heroes, the premier heroes of the DC universe, and they weren't really allowed the opportunity to do so. No one was really talking about the Titans. Titans, because the Titans were just the Titans. They weren't like, they were still doing Titan shit. Like they weren't doing Justice League stuff. They were doing Titan shit. And I feel like Mark Waid did a better job of actually showcasing these heroes in this series, and I think they were even being treated in their own series to one extent or another. Yeah, and no shade against the creative team there. I feel like, the Titans will always be in the Justice League shadow, no matter what. And that was probably by design too, so that, hey, the Justice League has to come back, so we're not gonna like, kick them to the curb. Like I said, there's a lot of reasonings behind why, some of this stuff was done. And, some of it from a narrative perspective makes a lot of sense, but from a business standpoint, I think it was a missed opportunity. So that's just me. But a lot of stuff has happened as a result of Absolute Power. Green Arrow's treachery aside, and his subsequent reveal that he was actually working Amanda Waller, he was making moves against her the whole time. Yeah, I mean, it all tracks. It's all everything that I think any of us probably thought it was going to be. A lot of this issue goes the way you probably think it's going to go. I'm going to be honest with you. If there's any one thing though that I think does get addressed here that I was actually really happy for, even though I kind of saw it coming, was everything that happened with John Kent, Superman, and Dreamer. Some of you may remember that Dreamer sacrificed herself in Absolute Power #2. She was blown up and seemingly killed off. And even then, I was kind of like, I wonder. We don't really see a body, and you never know. But when we got to Absolute Power Super Son #1, it was there that after John Kent had regained control of himself from the Brainiac Queen, he found himself rudderless and kind of lost within his thoughts. He needed to find himself. And what kind of helped get him back in the game was the fact that he still had Dreamer's memory within himself, even though I'm sure it pissed off his boyfriend Jay a lot. But yes, Dreamer was still in John Kent's mind, and he kept her memory alive by still thinking of her. And also, at the same time, her memory helped pull him from the psychic brink of oblivion, more or less. And at the same time, John, remembering Dreamer, kept her alive in his dreams. Thus, she did not die. She was able to reconstitute herself from the dreaming. And in that, she has come back more powerful than even Amanda Waller could have ever imagined. And because of the fact that Nightwing kept around Hal Jordan's nephew, Airwave, a character who I can't remember if I talked about in the previous video for Absolute Power #3. There was a lot of things I actually cut from that video just for time and flow. But I do remember when I was recording that video, I had a little bit about Airwave, and it probably was left on the cutting room floor most likely. What was cut from that was just my musings about why Airwave would be there. Not like any oh, I predicted how he's going to be used. No, nothing like that. But just wondering, musing why he was being kept so close to the chest, so close to the vest in all this. Why was he the major player? And, honestly, with the benefit of hindsight, it's like, oh, yes, I think that makes the most sense. It's the fact that Airwave hung around and his power was so useful in this situation, which for those who know, Airwave's power is what it sounds like. He is capable of manipulating and controlling radio signals, and airwaves, as the name implied. But yes, he is kept close to Nightwing because he knows that Amanda Waller is going to do the thing that all villains are famous for doing: monologuing. It doesn't matter if you did it 3 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, however many minutes ago. Point of the matter is, every villain's going to monologue at some point. And as it so happens, that's exactly what Amanda Waller does, to the point that even Nightwing goads her into it, even going as far as to say, you've spent too much time around villains, so much time around them that you're starting to talk like them. And Amanda Waller gives up everything. She reveals all the stuff that she has done, how she manipulated the public against superheroes, basically going as far as to saying that it doesn't matter what the Justice League and the Titans and all the other heroes do to her, because she has already done the damage. She has purposely ruined, using the Brainiac Queen to create AI images and videos to make heroes look bad. She openly says all this stuff. And while she's given the whole store away, Airwave is transmitting this very same conversation to every smartphone, computer, radio, and anything else that can play audio or video across the entire world. So now everyone knows that Amanda Waller lied, that the superheroes were not the problem. It was her. And to make matters even worse, what I think is very interesting here as well is that Dreamer gets to hand in a receipt to Amanda Waller. For those who have not been keeping up, over the course of the Suicide Squad series that was out shortly before this, Dreamer had been working for Amanda Waller largely because Amanda Waller was holding Dreamer's family hostage, threatening to harm them if Dreamer did not play along. That's why Dreamer was in on the whole thing. She didn't want to be there. It wasn't her game, but unfortunately she had to play ball. And she did. But now that she was dead and Amanda Waller did not know that Dreamer was back in the game, Dreamer, now that Amanda Waller has been locked away in Belle Reve, she has now decided to take this moment to do a little tinkering in Amanda Waller's brain. The thing about Dreamer is that while she had control of her powers, she never realized how far she could push her powers until Amanda Waller had brought her into the Suicide Squad. Well, now, as it so happens, she has discovered she can do a lot more than what even she could have imagined. And what she has done is she has taken Amanda Waller's greatest strength, her superpower, despite the fact she actually doesn't have any. And it's her intimate knowledge of every single superhero and villain's superpowers, their weaknesses, and their secret identities. She knows names, dates, places. She knows the location of where every superhero hangs their hat. And Dreamer has taken it all away. The loophole here is that she hasn't erased it. She hasn't deleted anything. Amanda Waller still knows. She just doesn't know that she knows. Like everything is at the tip of her tongue, and yet she can't say it. She can't recall it. It's there. And I will go ahead and just say right now, it's going to be brought back. Amanda Waller is not gone forever. I feel like if anything, she's going to be sunset for a little while. We're going to get a break from Amanda Waller, and somewhere down the stretch, she's going to come back with a vengeance and maybe even have some kind of a story arc where she's going almost kind of like on a Thanos quest, trying to get back her memories that have been locked away. This is actually very similar to something that happened back in 2020 with the X-Men when Charles Xavier Magneto had taken the knowledge of the device that Reed Richards had created that could effectively turn off the mutant X gene. They didn't erase it from his memory. They just made it to where he couldn't recall it. He knew that he created it. He knew there was something he created. He just didn't know what it was or how to get it back. And that's kind of what Dreamer has done right here to Amanda Waller. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say it wasn't just for the superheroes. I'm pretty sure she did it for the supervillains as well, because I think Dreamer, having worked with the Suicide Squad, understands how Amanda Waller manipulates people. But yeah, I thought it was a really cool thing. And then the other issue that comes up in this as well is that in order to defeat Amanda Waller, they have to effectively destroy their access to the multiverse because of the gateway that Amanda Waller created that allowed her to bring in people from the multiverse to help her in her fight against superheroes. That had to be destroyed. And with that, there is now supposedly no connection to the multiverse anymore. But we know that's not true. We know there is still a connection to the multiverse because the absolute universe is on the way. It's so crazy how they do this sometimes. DC always uses story arcs to remove the multiverse out of play. That's what happened. That was the whole purpose of Crisis on Infinite Earths, was to pare down the number of universes to make the entire brand a bit more uniform, and then they would later go back and then undo it, and then they would go back and redo it. It is, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy, but yeah, that's the thing. The other big question I have is in regards to a couple of other things, and largely that's with the Amazos, more specifically Jade Stone, because I said earlier, Batman and Ted Kord were getting John Starr, the Time Commander, to undo what the Amazos had done. That does go off without a hitch. Everybody gets their powers back for the most part. However, not everybody gets their powers back. We saw with Plastic Man No More, he no longer has access to his powers. And it seems like characters like Black Canary, she no longer has her patented Canary Cry. She has laser eyes now. They almost kind of look like Omega Beam eyes, if I'm being honest. And we also know the characters like Red Tornado has been irreparably damaged, as implied. He'll likely never come back. But while all that is going on, it's very clear that a lot of the characters who lost their powers, something has gone wrong. The powers, like case in point, Plastic Man, his powers didn't come back to him. His powers had to go somewhere. Black Canary didn't get her powers back. she got somebody else's. So that means her canary cry has gone somewhere else. And we don't know where all of these powers yet have gone, at least as far as this issue is concerned. But the quest now is to figure out where all that is, what has happened to any of it. And when we talk about the Amazos, what happens to all of the Amazos? Because once again, Jadestone turned over a new leaf. Jadestone made a face turn in the Green Lantern series, and it was revealed that while talking with Alan Scott, playing chess with Alan Scott, he realized he wanted to be a hero. He didn't want to be a bad guy. And while I don't know if we necessarily see him in issue number 4. I'm sure he's there, but when the Amazos are depowered, we see a lot of them. We see what I feel should be all of them. I mean, as far as I'm aware, we see one of the first ones is Paradise Lost get, their powers taken away. We also see the Last Sun. We see Depth Charge up front and center. We see Velocity. There's a character in the back who it's difficult to tell who that may or may not be. And we see the arm of Global Guardian. It's difficult to say whether that character in the far back is Jadestone, considering the coloring is different. And there's a lot of jumping around with different panels of characters just getting wrecked. And I think it would be very sad to not take this opportunity to keep Jadestone around, considering Jadestone turned over that new leaf. And in the Green Lantern series, in that Green Lantern number 15, he saves Hal Jordan's life. And not only that, also seems to be by Hal's own musings, the new guardian of the power battery of the Green Lantern Corps. Not only that, it's also revealed at the end of this book that the Watchtower is back. We know for a while there they had been based out of the Hall of Justice. The Hall of Justice got ransacked and was repurposed by Amanda Waller. So the Watchtower is back, Oliver Queen is back on the team, and we know there's going to be a new Justice League that's being brought into play, and something that I feel personally, I think is going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. It's almost like they're going back to the way the Justice League was prior to the New 52, where instead of having like a smaller, more tight-knit team, it's actually a much bigger team, like lots of characters. And it's not to say they haven't been doing that. I mean, they do that sometimes where like they do have like a small tight-knit group of members, but have other members like auxiliary members. But I feel like this is going to be more on an official capacity as what was kind of showcased in the DC All-In special. So we'll just kind of have to play that one by ear. But yeah, I think this was, man, I'm not gonna lie. I've been really down on DC Comics events over the last few years. Like they've been very few and far between good to me. Like I said, I did not care for Night Terrors. Like it started off good, but man, it got really dumb and really weird like in the middle. And just way too many tie-ins. And for as much as I like Dark Knight's Metal, I actually didn't really care for Death Metal. I was like, man, this seems like too much. It seems like someone at DC was like, hey, those kids, they really like the Batman Who Laughs. Hey, let's just do more of that. Those things work sparingly, and now you're overdoing it. Yeah, I just can't really think of too many other DC Comics events that I've just thoroughly enjoyed. I feel like they all start off, like even the ones I do enjoy at first, they start off good, and then I just start to not care after a while. I'm like, okay. This one, Absolute Power, I actually was kind of going into it expecting not to like it. I really enjoyed it. And it did all the right stuff. It did the things I feel a comic book event should. It had the types of connections and callbacks and interconnectivity that I feel a comic book should have when the crossover is involved. I felt like even the tie-ins, even though I thought, there were a lot of tie-ins, but not an egregious amount. We're not talking like Blackest Night or Night Terrors for that matter. Or even if you go to the Marvel side, Blood Hunt. I felt Blood Hunt was way too bloated. But yeah, this was good. Even, the solo series, like the Superman, the Batman, the Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow stuff, all that stuff, it actually all made sense in the context of what was going on. It's put the toys back in the box, but not all the way back in the box. Like, instead of putting the toys back in the box, it's put the toys close to the box, if that makes any sense. Because Failsafe, we don't know what's going to happen with Failsafe. He's been reverted back to his pre-Absolute Power stage, where he was largely, I won't say decommissioned, but he was in a point where he didn't have the power and technology in him that he currently had in Absolute Power, and he was on death's door as much as an android can be. Makes you wonder if maybe Failsafe and Red Tornado, there might be some usage, some cross uses there, considering they're both in a very similar state right now. We don't know what's going to happen to the Brainiac Queen, because the Brainiac Queen has been transported to Pluto after learning the truth about Amanda Waller. That's something we don't know where that's going to go from there. Will we see the Brainiac Queen again? I was hoping she'd come back by now and maybe be part of the reason Amanda Waller gets that comeuppance, but that's not the case here. Not every question was answered. A lot of answers were left unrevealed, and I think that that's okay in the context of what this is. I feel like Mark Waid left the right amount of answers. Like, I'm not sitting here going, what was all this for? Yeah, I'm not sitting here going, what was all this for? Why did we go through all this just to get to this point? Just to get to this point. Why did we do that? But yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. This actually might be one of, when it is released, I think this might be the first DC like omnibus, like they releases like an omnibus collection. This might be the first DC event omnibus I will probably have bought in quite some time. Like, if that tells you anything, I don't buy event omnibus collections very often. Just because they're usually a hot mess to go through, and I don't like a lot of events that much. But yeah, this is one I can see it happening.